It's my first regatta win, but I have to say the first race I won was in Charleston. So Charleston holds a very dear place in my heart. We did Charleston last year in the 20, and we won the last race of the regatta. It was really fun. I try not to look at the 20s. They have 2 Olympic gold medalists on it and an America's Cup person, and you know, I just try not to let that get to my head. So I ignore it for the most part. If I go out and I am on my game, if I'm really focused, if I'm not screwing up a jibe, if I'm not being too far away from a mark when I round it, if I'm doing the things that I really need to do, then I've won the battle. On the days when I'm off and my jibes are not great and I just don't seem to be able to stay focused long enough, or my mark roundings aren't good, then I'm battling myself. I don't really actually look at other boats on the race course too much. I am happy to see people out there. I'm happy to race against them, but I try not to let any of that really get in my head. I feel like if I do my job, then we'll end up where we end up. You know, we'll definitely come to you guys' briefing that you do before race week. I think that's a really important and valuable part of what you do for everyone, is to talk about that, talk about the tides, you talk about how the harbor works and where to go, where not to go. I think that's a huge part of helping us get ready for what's going on. He asked me if I would come and be willing to run their first event. And I said, sure. I don't know anything about match racing at this point in my life. I'm like, well, we'll figure this out, and you'll help, right? And Bill's like, sure, I'll help. So I ended up working for them the entire summer, and I continue to work for them. And I basically go up and run their events. So the way Chicago is set up, instead of having a singular OA, organizing authority, we set it up for myself, the chief umpire, and the PRO to be the organizing authorities. And we work together to make sure the event runs smoothly and well. And so I'm doing all the coordinating with everything from writing the skipper's letters to tell them what to expect, to coordinating with the chef, to making sure there's beer at the end of the day, to just all of that. And one of the reasons that Bill asked me to do that was because I've been co-chairing MC Midwinters at Lake Eustis for the last 6 or 7 years. So he knew I knew how to run an event. And from Chicago, I've gotten some nice other opportunities. I'm leaving tomorrow for Tortola. The BVI Spring Regatta is adding a match race between the Rolex and the Spring Regatta, and they've asked me to come down and run it. This will be their inaugural event, so that's pretty good fun. Nice. And then I've gotten asked to go to Saratoga to run an MC event in June, which is their inaugural event, so I'm kind of excited about helping them. And that's been something that was pretty unexpected, to be honest, but something I've really enjoyed. What you do really well is having the resort, in my opinion, that everybody's in the same place, that you are so close to the docks, that you walk down the hall and you see all your buddies and the party's right there. I think that makes a huge difference. I think when sailors have to leave where they're racing, go to a hotel and come back to somewhere else, you lose a lot of them. They just are done at the end of the day and aren't going to do that. So I think that makes for a lot more participation in everything that's going on. So I think that's fantastic. I think all the emails you get in advance kind of keep Charleston on your mind. So when I get the Charleston Chew, or I get another notice from Charleston, you've added another race course, or you've added something else, that really keeps me thinking about Charleston, which I think makes a huge difference. And I think it's one of those things that a lot of events are looking for. How do we get people really thinking about our event? And you guys do a fantastic job of that. I'm not sure I have any suggestions for you. I think you guys are really doing a fantastic job. And something I'd like to, I think this whole idea of these interviews is fantastic, and I'm going to start incorporating it. I hope you don't mind if I steal your idea. So I'm racing in an MC, and we go to round, they've moved the mark, and now the boat is the new mark. And we go around the boat, and I tip over as I'm rounding the mark. And my mast comes down and hits the guy who's holding the flag to indicate he's the mark in the head. I get knocked off the boat. I'm in the water. All these other boats are trying to round, and the girl that's sailing with me is standing on the boat going, "Get back in this boat right now!" And I'm like, oh my God, I've just killed somebody on the power boat. Well, one of my favorite stories of Charleston. Pretty embarrassing. But it's awesome. So we go to Hank's every year. So Hank's is definitely on the list this year. But you know, there's hardly a bad restaurant in Charleston. I have to say, I can't remember ever eating anywhere and not having a great meal in Charleston. So we're looking forward to that too.
Stepping out. Come on. Come get a little Southern.